Sorry, I'm disheveled. Let's wait till everybody gets in here. Morning, this is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Yo! Shit? Everybody shuffle inside, take your seats around the fire. You ain't gonna believe this shit. But I mean, this is the whole op. It's to flood the zone, right? Constant assault. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, trouble. I think the most important thing I saw that I think I want to talk about first is last night the new director of the FBI, Kash Patel, was on Steve Bannon's podcast and said that they will absolutely use FBI assets to target the enemy within. The most violent rhetoric ever used by an FBI director on American citizens. A Trump appointed FBI director. Make sure to make note of that. Um, I'm looking for the video. I saw it this morning. You can imagine they're gonna police that shit. Whether it's criminally or civilly. Yeah, his bubble's gotta pop, yeah. Steve Bannon gave a Nazi salute. But yeah. Whether it happened last night or not is irrelevant. Kash Patel got confirmed as the FBI director. He definitely said they're going to target the enemy within. This is not just rhetoric. Whether it's civilly or criminally, we'll figure it out. His words. What the fuck is ANI News? Jesus Christ. What is it good for? All right, so what did we learn in the last 24 hours? I just want to confirm this, okay? People seem to be fucking confused. Elon Musk is in charge of Doge. Doge has nearly like unlimited access to critical databases within the United States. Stop. Like, Donald Trump will talk you in a fucking circle, bro. And people just have given this man so much leash. I watched a video yesterday about his mental decline. What the fuck are we doing, bro? What is happening? How is this person in charge? He's lost his motherfucking mind. Okay? In addition to that, I think the next most important piece pieces pieces yesterday Elon Musk said that hey Joanne, he thought that the International Space Station should be taken out of orbit. And you can imagine that's because he wants to make money building a new one and launching a new one. I told you this motherfucker wants to do the Mars project, and he's going to send thousands and thousands of Americans to their untimely demise. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, the radiation on Mars is orders of magnitude higher than here on Earth. We do not have material that'll survive. You land a craft on that planet and it's scuffed. How are you getting off it? Throwing that out there. So yeah, not only did Elon Musk suggest that they take the International Space Station out of orbit, but he had his private security force deputized by the US Marshals, which is the most bitch shit I could absolutely imagine out of a rich person. I'm just gonna speak in plain English sometimes and say that's that's pussy behavior. When you hire Palantir backed, you know what I mean? Like he hires Triple Canopy and then has them fucking deputized by the U.S. Marshals. Pussy. Um, it's so he can continue to do what he wants and not fear like the physical aspect of getting roughed up. And he'll constantly have a military slash police presence because he's a weak man. He's afraid. Uh-huh. He's constantly afraid. He either has his child with him, or now he has a deputized. Jesus Christ, talk about the pipeline to bullshit. You imagine getting like some dishonorable discharge from the military going to Triple Canopy, and then all of a sudden you're watching Elon Musk's back. I can't imagine the quality of people that are actually willing to do that at this point. I'm surprised. You know, when he has to make up his friends, you know what I mean? Like he has to literally make a social media account pretending to be his friend. You know what I mean? Can't you just have a bunch of unanswered texts like the rest of us, Elon? Come on, that was funny. Like can't you just have some relationships that are strained like the rest of us? Um so yeah, I think that if you watch that first link I posted about Steve Bannon talking about Kash Patel becoming the FBI director, just know, like, oh man, the FBI has like policies and shit. I'm sure they're just gonna say a lot of really mean things, and people are starting to wake up. So I want to point out, you know, I made a piece of content that I didn't get a post before I went live today, where it was warning about Kash Patel saying they're going to use FBI assets on Americans. Um, yeah, Banning did a Nazi salute, absolutely. So make sure that while you're here, you tap the screen, like it. Obviously, comment, say good morning, stuff like that. Conversate, share this. Okay. But ultimately, this is about finding avenues of protest, outlets for your anger. You know, I know that for many of you, have said, God, damn it, I'm so angry. Yeah, Elon with the chainsaw, right? Again, weakness, you know, It's the guy walking around with spurs on his boots and a 6-shooter on his waist, the cowboy, or is he just a weak bitch? And I'd say in a civilized society, the guy walking around with spurs on his boots and a gat on his waist is a bitch. Dead ass. So when you see them white boys in the fucking subway with their fucking AR, know that a United States Marine infantryman sees those people as weak bitches. And I don't even go where those people are. We're never in the same spot, right? Like first of all, if you have to brandish a firearm in order to feel safe, well, you're certainly a pussy, right? Because why can't you just put that shit on your belt like the rest of us? You know what I mean? And not make it a big issue. But like I said, I grew up around firearms, and here's the thing. I grew up in that community. I was a Boy Scout. I was in the Marine Corps. Like most people don't carry. Like I know y'all are obsessed with fucking 2A, but people really weren't. I asked the armory when I was on active duty, "Hey, what percentage of people in our unit have their own firearm?" And they said in a unit of 1300 we have 21. 21 21 pistols. So this was the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. I'm pretty sure they slung that iron, if you know what I'm saying. And they didn't see a need for that, and because you don't need it because you're unless you're just a pussy. Yeah. Look, I've been shot and shot at. I was in the Marine Corps infantry. I spent my whole life with a gun in my hand, and I don't have one in my house. I got fucking pit bulls and a German Shepherd, and my cell phone works. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, I'm not anticipating being run up on. So I don't live my life that way. I don't put myself in that situation. I don't put myself in that frame of mind, right? Because you ultimately you get what you give. Whatever. All right, dog. You ain't in danger, dog. I'm just letting you know. Nobody's gonna fucking hurt you. You can put that shit down. Turn your swords into plowshares. You need to grow a garden. I know that it's probably the first time you've ever been told that because most men just get cheerleaded. Violence gets cheerleaded. People want to see that shit. I'm living proof of it. I literally grew up in that shit, and I just decided 57. You know, the Department of Justice website shows statistics regarding um firearm unalives. Did you know that 57% of pew pew unalives are screwides, self-inflicted? So everybody thinks that they're gonna carry this gat around, right? And that gat's gonna save you, but the math says you're 2/3 to brain yourself. The fuck are we talking about? Did you really need it in an instance in which you're 60% more likely to just how many of those have you had in your lifetime then? Right? How many instances have you been like, "Oh, I'm gonna blow my fucking brains out." Dead ass. And if that's on the table for you, you need to seek help. If you ideate about suicide, you need to seek help. You need help. I'm here to tell you you need help. Even at my own risk, right? Even though I'm going to get banned at any point here on TikTok for saying that. Uh as I've said before, there are no better days without you. Good to go. I can tell you for a fact. All right. So, Jesus Christ. JD Vance. Look at him coming out of the woodwork saying some inane shit. Hey, the technocracy, the tech, is that what that's called? Technocracy is lame. These fucking nerds are lame and dumb. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Morning, 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 morning. What up, Bobby? 31D for 24 years. Thank you for your service. And if anybody wants to some help looking up the data on pew pew violence, I'd happily do that for you. What do we get a restriction for? That's silly. We'll just restart. I ain't doing that. Yeah. Yep. Again, they're just using a lot of rhetoric, man. Talk about like weak, ultimately powerless, inability to govern. That's what I would say. But one of the things that I'm hearing is the Republicans are soft on Trump. They're not they're not as all in on him as are being led to believe. They're scared. Um, the Democrats also apparently lack leadership. So they're like a rudderless fucking boat where they want guidance from us. They want we the people to tell them, and it's just like we did. And I think we're not saying the right thing. We want the results of Executive Order 13848 made public. The public wants to know what happened in the 2024 US election. Donald Trump's actions are so violent that it makes me wonder with this level of turbulence, like this velocity that he's that this yeah, it's turbulent and you're going at high speed. It's like this shit is not built to last. His strategy is going to run out of gas. Like there's a reason that he's doing this shit. And it's like it's meant to trigger you. Think about this, man. He has he has a right-leaning Senate and House and SCOTUS. He can make anything he want law, and he's not filing bills. Yeah, I would love to see the second Jack Smith report, but I don't know that you'll ever see that. But the results of Executive Order 13848, we are not demanding those, and we should be. It's around that time where here's what you want to see, okay? And and I'm just giving you the game. The leadership of a political party that is actually interacting with the public, right? I'm founding the American Socialist Party. I'm interacting with the public. Is saying I want to see a lot of American flags at our protest. Um, and we need to demand the results of Executive Order 13848 because the next big protest is like March 5th, is what I'm hearing. So if they're protesting March 5th, that 30 days on the end of Executive Order 13848, it ends March 3rd. So if we are protesting, we want the results, and that's the time frame that the results I have a feeling they go together. And it like it's almost like you have an informed electorate, right? At least that's how I perceive us, right? Um, I'd like to think with thousands of people stopping by my show on TikTok, it's insane. I never think about concurrent listeners because we're a 90-minute show. I think at the end, how many different people stopped by, and it's thousands of people are hearing what I'm saying every day. And again, I'm not taking credit for anything, so don't think of it like that. But it's like, hey, what can I be saying? Hey, we want the results of Executive Order 13848. The next organized protest is March 5th, according to this calendar that we have, that we shared yesterday, right? Does everybody remember that calendar that we posted yesterday that showed all the protests? I'm gonna find it again and post it here. It was on Reddit. It was there's a blackout on the 28th, right? Um, right? Got to. I don't see anybody else doing this. Hey, there's a I'm trying to find the calendar that was on the page yesterday. Oh God. Right here, by the way. Right here. Yo, people can keep saying whatever they want. What up, Ali? Yo, here, look. Look at this shit. Look at the new FBI director. I posted the link. I found it. Offensive operations to jail Americans they consider the enemy. Yes, we're going to be coming after people in the media. We're putting you on notice. What the fuck? So yeah, data supports peaceful protests. I keep telling you. The other side, it's like don't do as they do, right? They're showing you what losers do. Do you understand? Like you got to understand that the leader of the FBI appointed by Donald Trump saying they're going to be violent against Americans means we cannot violently protest. Why? Because especially if it's the loud people, remember loudness is not leadership. So just because someone's willing to go out, stand at the head of a herd, put up a microphone in front of their face and say kill them all, that does not mean that that is leadership. That's not leadership. Okay? That's not leadership. Leadership is looking at what has happened before, what has worked before, combining it with modern information and saying, listen, I don't think you understand the ripple effect. I came on my podcast that gets thousands of listeners and I said, Elon Musk is a terrible president. You got to put it on a sign and get it out at a protest. What happened within a week of us doing that? And I say us, and I am taking a little credit for putting it into the ether. Thank you, Tim Waltz, for posting that on social media. What happened? Elon Musk and Donald Trump had that fucking side by side interview, and then the next day, the White House distanced itself from Elon. Then within 24 hours, Donald Trump said, "You see what happened? We caused a ripple. It was a ripple effect." Okay, it's like every stone that hits the water causes a tidal wave somewhere. So you have to think about what should we be doing next? Well, what you should be doing is using your money to put yourself in a position to not spend money on February 28th. I'm putting this out there now. I know for many people that's a payday. It's the end of the month. You're going to have bills due. Nothing pays out on the 28th. That's the next piece is economic blackout a week from today. I warn you from getting involved in spot protest. Why? Because you don't know who's going to be there. If there's a smaller group of people, it's more likely you're going to get the idiot with the microphone that says be violent. And then that shit gets fucking shut down and you get arrested. And you're coming to me going, I thought you said protest. And it's like, no, organized, peaceful protest. That's the way. And anything else, you're making a terrible fucking mistake, kid. You don't know what's going on. You should just listen to Jared. He literally is telling you over the course of history what has worked and what has not. What has worked is mass, peaceful, organized protest. Now, have I even fucking spoke of the next protest? Before I even speak on it, we should be looking at Protest Finder USA, understand that clearly what we're doing is working. Ooh, ooh, is that a white boy that has probably sat on a couch his whole life? Let me go look. Oh, no, I'm good. Pass. Blocked. So, there's this bring Trump to military justice petition that we should all sign. It's at 929. It needs 1,000 sigs. Think we can figure that out. Actually disagree. These protests are having a big impact. The Republicans are scared. Democrats lack leadership, so they actually need someone. Like, here's what we need. How come AOC and Gay Valamont are not doing a side by side sit down talk? How about Pete Buttigieg and Joshua Wheel? How come they're not sitting down having a side by side and these giant monolith politicians that everybody likes already? How come they're sitting down supporting these candidates in these special elections? How come I can't even tell you who the third person is because again, the Democrats' messaging has failed. They're not getting the message across. The leadership of the Democratic Party is not out here saying, in these places, we need to focus our attention now to gain back control of the blah, 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 so that we can do the blah, 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 right? And have a plan and tell people what we're doing and what our plan is. And it's like, they don't even do that anymore. They don't, they tell you to stop calling them. And then they come out 2 weeks later and say, clearly we're having an impact on the Republicans because they're fucking scared. And it's like, I would argue you're all playing this game scared. And that Donald Trump, with them being able to do nothing, he provides the level of volatility that they need because they're all invested in stock trading, right? And their excuse will always be it's the haves versus the have-nots. If we didn't use what little platform we have to gain through the stock market and use the fact that it's legal to our advantage, we'd never be able to keep up. The oligarchs would have been in charge a long time ago. They would have bought their way to the top a long time ago. Um, and that building a democracy that's based on rules and not following rules is why I recommend socialism. Why? Because what what they've tried to do is separate the government from unions. And I just happen to be what's called a syndicalist socialist, which means I think that the heads of unions are like heads of state. And that we want socialists in unions, in charge of unions. Why? Because socialists care about equality, right? That's what they're there for. They want their people's healthcare, education, income, and housing to be benefits, right? They want the government to do that. It helps companies not have to pay for that if the government is footing the bill, right? So understand that there's also an economic theory surrounding socialism, and that is that interest and tax and rent are a blight upon us, and they are derivative of your labor, and that people like being a landlord should not be a vocation. Now, the maintenance of a place that you live, that can cost money, but that costs money everywhere. Yep, we need a plan to replace Mitch McConnell, right? He's saying he's not running for reelection. So, like I said, I think that you should have a plan in place and have a public plan that the public can get behind. And I think at this point, there's no organized protest for the next week. So I would recommend, because of the economic situation that we're in, that you try to put yourself in a position to not spend money next Friday unless you absolutely have to. Is that everybody? Are you getting the message? Our local union, NTEU, National Treasury employees dropped the ball of representation a long time ago. Was very glad to see retired federal employees union take action. Yeah, that's why you want socialists in charge of unions, because those are people driven, right, by the desire for equality. They're not going to drop the ball because their whole purpose was to look out for their people, right? And know that, a company is nothing without its employees. It's just a name on a building. That's not that's nothing. Okay, the people that work are incredibly important. So yeah, this is the part of the program where I tell you uh it might be time for the Benelli. You know what I mean? Like, it might be time that you think about protecting yourself. I'm not saying leave your house with it. I'm definitely saying home defense, the Mossberg, whatever. Pick up the pump like you're playing Fortnite. Okay, you're a whole different animal in Fortnite. But yeah, Safe Light. I want to make sure I say that too. Safe Light. I saw a demonstration of a Safe Light vest. And yeah, yeah, uh huh. That'll do. That'll do. So let's see if I could get you a link to that. Because people had been asking, and I had no idea, you know. I was gonna go get a old plate carrier, you know what I mean, and just throw it on, okay? But I seen this, okay? People have been asking me where to go. Like I said, I saw a demo there. Make sure, um, one of the things that I can foresee is the use of chemical agents because of who's in charge, and it's called dirty fighting. So in addition to that vest, I'd recommend you get a mask. You can get a mask, a rebreather. Not just a mask because of COVID, but also wear a mask because of COVID. and bird flu and the flu, and it's really cold where I am, and people are sick. Like all of my coworkers at work are sick, and I work from home, and I'm talking about like a remote Zoom where everyone in there is sick. We're good to go. So I'm not sick. I never get sick. I'm one of those people. If I'm in a room of people and everybody's bitching about being sick, I'm gonna be the one that doesn't get sick. And that's because I'm fucking vaccinated and I'm relatively clean. So like, so I don't get. In fact, I my projects around the house are cleaning. Like that's what home ownership is. It sucks. It's the worst. I'm the worst at it. Here you go. Taking some zinc. Okay. Um, I hate to say this, but you know what made me feel the best in the wintertime? Going to the tanning bed. I'll say it. I'll say it. It's not good for you. Um, you do need the vitamin D though, so there are some like ways to get some rays. Um, it certainly made me feel better. You know, when you're just cold to the core, zinc is the truth. Remember, you're supposed to be taking creatine. That's one of the things. That's like the next step. Because nobody's really coming to me and saying, all right, I started listening to you. I started sleeping 8 hours a day. I started hydrating and eating right. And then I got to exercising. Now I'm running and lifting and I'm splitting it up. What do I do? And then the next step is creatine, protein, vitamins. I take a daily vitamin. I took a daily vitamin most of my life. There have been time frames where I didn't really do that, but on the whole, vitamin D is great. That's the only thing I've ever been prescribed through the VA is vitamin D. So if you ever wondered, like, what do they do with people that are perfectly healthy? Um, Vitamin D. But yeah, I also want to make sure through all of this that I continue to say like I didn't ask my doctor for vitamin D. They offered it to me. So, but yeah, here's the Elon Musk's private security detail gets deputized on here's a CNN story by the US Marshals. Yeah, everyone's fucking sick. It's awful. Yeah. So, yeah, I just want to make sure through all this, I make sure I let everyone know like I'm completely healthy. I have no health concerns. Keep in mind, I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm a pacer, and I don't mean like a pacer, like a basketball fan. I walk around all day long. I have dogs. I have to like constantly run away from them. If I stop moving, they'll attack my face with their tongues and just lick me to death. It's the most awful way to die. Um, but yeah, Elon Musk's private security detail got deputized. Okay. I think we got to talk about it. Hey, Granny, what's up? Granny hit me up the other day. Her husband was in the Marine Corps for a long goddamn time, and we kind of all feel the same about what's going on in this country right now. Hey, just so you know, just so I told you, uh, that 10,000 steps per day. you could do 7 to 9,000 steps and lift weights and you would feel so much better. Understand that every like doctor of sport will tell you that it's the distance runners, it's the long distance walkers. They're the people that have problems first. First, they wear themselves out. So hey, I would just warn people about trying to do steps as a form of exercise. Is like, hey, you could do some less walking and more lift weights. It's the lifting of weights that's gonna help you with maintaining range of motion, sense of balance. Um, it's gonna help you maintain strength over time. Because if you don't, you're losing muscle mass. So does it matter if you can walk real far if you have no muscle mass and you can't lift anything? You can't have any weight added? I mean, I'm already talking about a vest and a mask. That's just what I would consider nominal purchases given the time frame you're living in, right? That's still less than $1,000 right there, you know? Here's the thing though, I just have a feeling this is all talk. So I want to make sure in the same instance that I'm scaring people, legitimately I'm fearful for people, that I say I think it's all bluster. I think the deputizing of your security, the Cash Patel comments, you know what I mean? Like all of I feel like it's all talk. Now, obviously, there are going to be people that it really does happen to. And I want to apologize ahead to those people that get raided by ICE and get deported. And God, what a fucking awful situation. I want to let you know if the United States had any sense about them at all, heavy or moderate weight. So you asked, I'll give it to you. You need to lift 5 or 6 days a week. You need 5 exercises. You need no more than 5 sets, no more than 10 reps per set. You're trying to get through 60% of your reps before straining. And ultimately, hear me out. You are actually becoming physically stronger as a result of pushing through strain. So let's say I'm doing 5 sets of bench press. I'm going to explain this. Whatever weight you're doing, you're trying to do about 10 reps for each set, 5 sets of 10. Good to go. That's 50 push ups, right? Kind of. So think about you want to be able to do all of the first set. Otherwise, it'd be kind of silly to put that much weight on the bar and not be able to do all 10. And hey, you might want to do that for the second set too, because and it just be a little heavier, but you still want to be able to do all 10. Now, by the time you get to that third set, about 60% of a 5 set exercise, towards the tail end of that middle set, you ought to actually kind of feel something. It actually kind of might be a little bit of, it might be a little tough to get 10 without help. Okay. And then the fourth and fifth sets, I want you to get 10. That means you're getting stronger. But if you're just starting out, I want you to get to enough weight on the bar so when you get up there, 7, 8, 9, you know what I mean? Like you're actually grunting out the weight on the end of the back half of those sets. Why? Because if you are actually pushing through strain to get that weight up, the next time you go to do bench press, you'll be able to do more. You'll be stronger. That's literally how you get stronger. So we're focused on controlling what we can control, right? You get to choose, right? People always say shit like, I just want to be lean and mean, and I will tell you that long and strong is going to crush you. So strength, Yeah, like super important. Yeah. Um, you want to hit with power, in any sport that you got to hit something, like with a ball or a bat or your fist. You want power, right? Everybody always, well, my whole life they denounced the weight room. I remember being in high school and being someone who liked to lift weights was radical. And in fact, like they accused you of being druggies. They accused of us of being druggies when I was in high school. Because if you like to lift weights and you were spending your summer in a weight room and not at the pool, you were considered like a lunatic. Shout out to the weight room. Had really good music actually. So everybody always wonders where'd you get your great taste in music. My high school football coach at the weight room had a really good sound system, and they played a lot of really good rock and roll, and that's where I got it from. So while we're sitting here bullshitting, we'll kind of go back over those storylines. Last night, Cash Patel with Steve Bannon threatened to use FBI assets on the enemy within, and I'm paraphrasing, so that's not a direct quote, but it does a pretty good job. Elon Musk deputized his own security detail. Mitch McConnell said he's not running for re-election. So as you can tell, RT, let me make it really easy for everyone. RP, I'm sorry. Renaissance periodization. Dr. Mike Israetel. That's who you take your information in from. See, what I do is I know nothing. Good to go. But what I do is I look for letters, specifically PhDs, doctor. I look for those people and whatever information that they're willing to give us for free, and I listen to that shit. And Dr. Mike Israetel, for the record, he's the reason when I was coaching high school football, he's the reason that at 40 plus I could still dunk a basketball. Is because I was doing an RP workout and I was teaching my athletes to use periodization. As high school kids, I had freshmen in high school learning to use periodization, teaching them to take it as a challenge, to consistently get stronger. Look, you're getting stronger. And I got in double strength. The way I perceive things is when it started, I could barely bench 140 pounds. In like 90 days, I could bench 280 for reps in 90 days. Now, listen, the difference is that I had an advantage. I have all of the assets, right? I'm a homeowner. I had a job. So I could buy creatine and protein and make sure that I had a protein and creatine shake before I got to the weight room. By the time I got there, not only was I like I was full of protein. So that means everything we're lifting, this is all good work. Just lift first. And I was teaching these kids to lift and lift as a sport. Like take it as a sport. We're challenging ourselves to get stronger. And so while it was not a shock to me that I got much stronger, I had all of the assets. I could eat whatever I wanted. I could just pay for it, right? I was working out and these kids were like coaches changing. They're not seeing their own growth. I saw kids go from soft little butterflies into uh like dangerous beings. You know what I mean? Like kids that really like this shit. You know what I mean? RP, Renaissance periodization. Uh-huh. You can find them on YouTube real easy. I'd recommend Dr. Mike Israetel. He has kind of a dumb sense of humor. It's like this mix between him being high-minded because he's a fucking doctor and him being a doctor in like sports science. And I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say he's a doctor of sports science. He has like some fancy doctorate. But yeah, Dr. Mike Israetel. He just doesn't get laid enough because he's short. If you really want to figure out his shtick, if he got if he was taller, he'd have got laid more. He would be different, ladies. But he's short, and so that's what you get. Um, he's special. He's a content creator. But his work is good. His advice is sound, which is what is important. Yeah. Teaching periodization is at the core of what his application does. You know, he has an app in the App Store and it helps you with periodization. I think the military should use it. I think universities should use it. High schools should use it. You should use it. Yeah. And you can even pay for it. So you could pay like $30 a month, track your macros and do all that stuff. I just made sure to overeat and then lift heavy, and that's how I was able to like supercharge my strength gain, the change in my body structure. Even at 40, I was seeing striations and muscles that I never cared about that shit. I didn't know what I was doing, you know. Now I know what it is, right? I want to make sure we say like never advocate for the taking of anything. Like vitamin D and creatine is about the extent of my recommendations for anyone. But like any doctor is going to tell you to take a daily vitamin, right? If you're looking for a little more, you know, the first thing they do if they're not treating something that's wrong with you is they're going to put you on a vitamin, you know. So like I said, vitamin D and creatine is about all I'll ever recommend. And also to myself even uh, protein shakes as meal replacement. Understand you're going to need to use some flaxseed. So one of the things that I do is all my research, right? And then I can bring it to you having tons of experience because I did the research, then I used it on myself. Um, but yeah, I was making a morning protein shake and then I had a half hour drive. So I had a half hour between, so you could use the stuff that releases in like a half hour. And so what I do is I do like a scoop or two or whatever of protein powder, creatine, flaxseed, and then what I found was blueberries. Trying to remember what else. Blueberries, raspberries, and then for a while what I did was I added sugar, literal sugar, until I could wean myself off it. Does that make sense? Cuz like we everything we eat is fucking sweetened, right? And so even when I was making my shake, I was putting sugar in it so it had sweet enough flavor that I was liking it. And then ultimately, I ended up weaning myself not using sugar at all, just using the fruits, the flax seeds. What's important though, if you're gonna use protein powder or a protein shake as a meal replacement, you have to use flax seed. Otherwise, it'll tear your stomach up. Just drinking like a protein shake, it's not good. So all those people out there that just go buy a protein shake out of the gas station, that's not good. It has a lot of sugar in it. And that's all I'm saying is that sugar's the devil. There, I said it. You know what I'm even learning and it sucks even harder? If it's not like chocolate, right? It's not chocolate and it doesn't have sugar in it. What's replacing sugar is having a worse effect on you than just intaking sugar would have. So instead of eating food that has sugar replacements in it, how about you just eat shit that has sugar in it and eat less of that? Fruit is a great example. You know, when you're a kid, you're told eat all the fruit that you want. Fortunately, for many people, it doesn't have long-term implications that you're going to have problems. But as an adult, we've learned you can't just eat fruit, right? Because that just has a ton of sugar in it, and that's not a good energy source, right? If we've learned anything as adults, like a Red Bull is not working out. We know that, right? I don't drink Red Bull. I do drink a little coffee in the morning, but generally I don't even finish it. Okay? I wake up like this. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know you didn't necessarily come in here expecting to talk about fitness and nutrition, but I am a coach. I have dedicated years of my life to not only learning how to coach, but I've actually done the job. So, and at a high level and had success in multiple sports. hmm And I got treated like shit, turned away, and the people that treated me like shit and turned me away, their programs sucked. So I just want to throw that out there. Um, so yeah, like I said, I always tell people like I have insane karma, and I'll take that. But yeah, if I could pass on any guidance, we were kind of staging. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term. As we were going along, I was telling you like you can't go into this thinking about violence. If you go into it thinking about violence, you're going to get the energy you give. This is a war of attrition. It's going to cost people. And instead, no sugar, no dairy, no gluten. Hmm. We don't have milk in the house. Um we don't really outwardly like eat sugar. But to say like we do keep ice cream in the house. You know what I mean? Like I'm not I'm not completely without pleasure. You know what I mean? Come on. It's just we don't have a house full of this shit. You know what I mean? But yeah. Yeah, that's until you have health problems that requires you to give up dairy and gluten, right? At this point, I just don't take it in. I kind of joked that we should get cereal and milk, but again, I think that's just a passing thought. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I grew up on cereal. I'll fuck up a box of cereal. But now I'm an adult and it's just not a thing anymore. It's too much sugar, there's too much gluten, too much dairy, right? But yeah, I would ask if it's dark enough yet. For Is it dark enough? It. Oh man, mass layoffs, huh? What's it called? They deserve to be deposited. What's it called? What's what called? Sorry, Anthony. What's what called, buddy? Very, very dark. Is it darkest yet? Oh, okay, Anthony. Yeah, the Renaissance periodization. Dr. Mike Israel. Yeah, he's great. He's written books. He's got an app. He's got it all, man. My high school athletes used it. I used it. Oh yeah, the layoff of the IRS agents in the middle of tax season. I just want to point out it feels like Donald Trump and Elon Musk are attacking me personally in every other universe. I just want to point this out. And it's silly, so just stay with me. But like I grew up, my dad was an air traffic controller and I wanted to be an astronaut. And I went to Purdue. to be a pilot or an air traffic controller. Like being an air traffic controller was my fallback. Burp, by the way. Um, so in the first week in office, Donald Trump immediately attacks the FAA and lays off air traffic controllers and fires all kinds of people get fired in that line of work. I would have been in the job like 15 years. And then so keep that in mind. Like if I had, in an alternate universe, I graduate from Purdue the first time, I become a pilot and or air traffic controller, I'm 15 to 17 years into a career, this idiot comes along. Okay? So I feel bad for all the people that I did go to Purdue with the first time, that did graduate the first time, that did get into the workforce the first time. Michael and Patrick, guys that lived across the hall from me, that I never got to see graduate. Um, I can't imagine what happened to their careers, right? OPM has stopped taking calls from employees asking about how to obtain their money since their last day given is next Friday. Wow. Yeah, the post office. Donald Trump said he wants to absorb the post office. Yeah. This is the problem when you put billionaires who only know how to extract all the value out of stuff. When you put them in charge, they're gonna do shit like think that the post office has to be profitable, right? Um, my mom worked at the post office. Like I said, this feels like an assault on me. My mom was a postal worker for most of my childhood. Um, I think she worked there like 16 years. Um, and she left because they kept um, shrinking the post office and putting more work on people. And my mom's like, I can't even get a full-time route, but she's getting full-time hours for like 12 years. And that's how shitty they were doing that so they didn't have to give her benefits. She was making helly money because she'd been there forever and she's a great employee, but that's how they treated her. Think about it, because she's a woman, right? But she did everything for the post office. She was a great person, and she's not dead. So, yeah, like it feels like a fucking assault on me, right? Like their attack on veterans feels like an assault on me. Their attack against the education system. Shit, I've been in college for 3 fucking decades, right? I already have a degree. I'm gonna get another one. I'm gonna get a degree, and I've changed my mind. By the way, I don't know if y'all heard that. So I actually told my boss and my director at work yesterday in a meeting. I was taking capstone courses in data analytics at Purdue University, and I realized that I don't want to work in that industry, and also don't value the education anymore, and that I'd rather just switch, get a degree in political science, practice, and take the LSAT. I'm starting a political party, right? I need the education to back me up so that I have a little bit of credibility, right? Should I ever want to run for public office, right? I think it might actually be seen as a negative that I have a degree in data analytics. I think people will say what sounds an awful lot like one of those tech bros. Yeah. Their attack on the media, it feels personal. I'm an avid journalist. Obviously, we host a daily live podcast. Thanks, Judy. We host a daily live podcast. We're almost to 100 episodes. So I did go back and look. There's 25 rows of 4 since I started the show, and there's a few videos in there that aren't the show. So we're episode like 96, 97, by the way. So if anybody wondered, we've been doing this for over 90 days straight with a daily show where we discuss news and politics. We put the links in the chat so you can just go look at it yourself. Fuck what I'm saying. You could just sit there and be like, I don't even like that dude, but at least he posts news stories that I can go look at. AP News, Reuters, CNN. Yeah. I encourage other people to get into politics. The piece of content I made this morning, one of the comments I made is that my entire life, men made comments like, I don't want to talk about politics. And your entire fucking life is politics. Your whole life is political. What the fuck are you talking about? Because now politics is at your fucking door. All those men that were ever in charge of me that said politics don't matter, it doesn't have your vote doesn't matter, it's not going to impact you. It fucking impacts you. Yeah, like a motherfucker. What are we even talking about? So yeah, I think that I'm one of those people I can't tell other people what to do and not do it myself. And I'm piss close to getting another degree, and I would be a fool to get a degree in a field I don't intend to work in. I am just not a polite person. I guess I just lack that entirely. I'm having to learn kindness. I wasn't born with it. So I'm going to be really fucking political. Mhm. I'm going to tell you that you are paying out thousands of dollars a month in your earned income. That is a it devalues your labor. That interest and tax and rent are derivative of your labor. And then, so take that money that you're spending, however much that is. Usually it's like thousands of dollars a month. If you don't turn to politics, politics will turn on you. That's for sure. So I'm gonna finish up my degree and take the capstone courses in political science and get that degree from Purdue. That way, at the very least, when as we build the American Socialist Party, I won't just be a blogger, because that's where the technocracy is getting all of its fucking inspiration. Curtis Yarvin is a blogger. That's his claim to fame. I want to make sure that for the future, that the founder of the American Socialist Party, one, did not establish the party in order to run for office himself, right? You hope to be nominated, not to have that aspiration naturally. And that kind of suits me because I'm a fucking procrastinator and lazy myself. So of course I want to start the party and then have someone nominate me. That way it's like, oh fuck, like now I feel obligated, as opposed to like that's what I want, right? Who's a psycho? I'm a psycho, I guess. Hey, TikTok lawyer, that's fun. Good morning, everybody. We were just kind of talking about that's awesome. Kaharon said she's an avid union. Yeah, see, I'm a syndicalist. So I'm a believer that, oh, yeah, Yarvin. Okay. I was like, are you speaking to me in the third person? Um, I'm a syndicalist. So I'm a huge union fan, right? And I think that the heads of unions are just like heads of state, okay? And we should put socialists at the heads of these unions because they'll help drive policy, right? They'll help bring the issues that they're having in their union, right? They're going to bring those to the public because they're a socialist and they believe that everyone should think about how much more money could your business make if they didn't have to pay for your insurance, right? Because healthcare is socialized in the United States. Keep this in mind. I'm going to keep saying this shit. The healthcare system in the United States is failing. So calisthenics are good if you have an active job as a means of conditioning your body to get used to the movements. Um, but and it's probably generally a good thing to stretch, especially as you get older, right? Especially as you age. hmm Um, but yeah, what were we fucking talking about? Oh, the U.S. healthcare system is failing. Like the executives are saying like this is failing, and again, want to make sure that we say like Luigi Mangione really did a number. Um, if it's gonna fail anyway, why not turn to socialized medicine, right? If it's just gonna fail, yeah, it's a racket, and it's just Americans. Like understand they don't fuck people over like this in 33 of 34 developed countries in the world. And so what if you just got to pocket that? What if you didn't have to pay it? What if you didn't have to pay interest and interest got limited? Yes, universal healthcare. Yeah, it's one of the foundational pieces of socialism is I want equality for all, universal healthcare, education, income, and housing. I think that you shouldn't have to pay for healthcare. I don't think that unless you're a homeowner, you should have to pay for housing. I feel like if you live in an apartment building where there are other people living, yeah, you should have to pay to like maintain that, but pay rent on that? No. Um, I don't think you should have to pay for your health care. I don't think you should have to pay if you live in a multi-unit housing, you should not be paying rent. Um, I don't think when you go to school to get an education that you should be concerned with its cost. I don't think that you should ever have to worry about student loans. What would you have? I ask my audience all the time, what would you do if you didn't have to pay student loans? Who would you have become if student loans weren't the issue? Have you thought about that? If the cost of education wasn't a factor, what would you have done? And now that I've put that thought in your head, what will you do to ensure that for other people? I would argue that between income, universal income, which is where the government gives you money like I don't know, like $500 every Friday, that'd be great. until you literally don't need it and can afford to turn it down. I think that that would lift people out of poverty. I think that not having to worry about the cost of education will keep people out of poverty. I think not having to worry about rent when you live in a multi-unit situation again keeps will lift people and keep people out of poverty. And them not having to pay, a considerable portion of their income for insurance. That's like super important, right? And one of the main questions is how do you pay for that? And the answers are there are multiple ways to pay for that. Who gives a fuck? Fuck a landlord. It's derivative of your labor. See, we just agreed to do that. We just we you agree to do that. You sign a contract to pay rent. Rent doesn't exist unless you agree to pay it. So why not just abolish rent? You pocket the money, you pay for upkeep, meaning if the plumbing needs fixed, y'all are going to have to pay for that, right? Because if you have an agreement with someone where you pay rent and in exchange they do what? Fuck you over? Because I don't know about you, but I rented for 15, 20 years of my life. Okay. So what I'm an advocate of is instead of focusing on changing people's minds or fighting against MAGA, you notice my content's not about that. What I'm saying is we need a workers' party heavily invested in unions. You hear my dogs whining? Oh, okay. There's only like 600 seats of government. I'm changing course in my education to get a political science degree. I would recommend you do the same. I'm going to need members of the party that intend to run for public office that have been here from day one and heard what I've been saying from day one. There are more empty homes in this country than there are homeless people. There, I solved your housing problem for you. Everyone says to me, how could you be a homeowner and advocate for the collapse of the housing market? And I would tell you, since I've bought my house, it's doubled in value and I can't sell it. I can't sell it. If I sell my house, I ruin the housing market in my entire neighborhood and I inflate the housing prices in my entire neighborhood and I fuck my entire neighborhood out of their house too. I've had cold offers for like $400,000 on my house that I paid $175,000 for that I can't in good conscience take. Why, you ask? Because I still have a loan that I have to pay back. Then I'd have to pay out money to get another place to live. And with the loan market the way it is, I'm not getting as good of terms as I got when I bought this house in 2017. We get a lot shittier terms. So you see, even being a homeowner is a shitty deal. Your house has to be worth so much more than what you owe on it that you can get into the next house without having to pay a mortgage. Yeah, it's a bullshit issue. Instead of having to have 3 or 400,000 people living underground in Las Vegas, you know, they could just have houses. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people are concerned, like who's gonna pay rent? What if you gathered together and made a little band at your little apartment complex, and your whole building went to your renters and proposed to them that we no longer pay rent. We will pay for upkeep, and we will make sure that we get permits and that we get the work performed, but we no longer want to pay rent here. What if you all did that? What do you think that place is going to say? Oh, we got people lined up to live here. We'll just replace you. Not how that works. Not how that works. The logistics they don't match. See, what would happen is if your whole apartment complex got together and decided we don't want to pay rent anymore, this place is a shithole. If we banded together, we could all just pay for the repairs ourselves, and we do it collectively. We'll save ourselves a buttload of money. Let's go to the landlord and tell them we're not paying for rent anymore, but we'll take care of the. Oh, I need rent. No, 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 no. You got a loan on this building. We've been living here forever. You've done paid this loan off. No, being a landlord's not a job. Gotta go. Because there's lag time. There's lag time. Yep. It's time to band together. You got to get to know your neighbors. You got to look out for each other because you need to know who's going to turn you in to the FBI and Cash Patel. See that? LLCs are buying all the empty property, charging ridiculous rent, ending Section 8 housing. See, I happen to think that everyone matters, and I think socialism is for everyone, from young people to old people. Most people need the lift, could use the extra coin in your pocket. Um, the government is just afraid of what happens if you could protect yourself and you could afford to take off work to protest. So keep this in mind. The reason that you're in the situation you're in is mostly racism. So keep in mind, mostly racism and bigotry are like massive drivers for these movements against you. Um, and also um, a rich versus poor thing. So keep in mind that the forces that we are fighting against are evil in nature. This isn't left versus right. This is right versus wrong. This is it is an act of violence when an entire big percentage of the American population lives paycheck to paycheck. Matter of fact, A, I just started a new job. I just got through training the end of last week. My phone literally has not rung. I'm allowed to do my own marketing. So, hey, I'm going to spend time here at the end of this conversation and say, hey, my name is Jared Malott. Okay. I work, okay, for Beyond Finance. Okay. So, you know my name and you know where I work. Okay. If you are max, just about maxed out on your credit cards, barely able to make your monthly payments, barely holding it together, I'm your person. Look, you don't want to declare bankruptcy. You've clearly not thought about the humiliation of asset forfeiture. You don't want to do that. So like I said, if you're just about maxed out on your credit cards, you've got $10,000 or more in unsecured or credit card debt, you need to get in touch with me. I believe my number is 1877 230 7106, and I might be saying that from memory. Okay? Okay? So you heard me. If you got $10,000 or more in unsecured or credit card debt, if you're barely making or behind, just starting to get behind on monthly payments, you're about maxed out on your credit cards, you're starting to think about, how long am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to have to declare bankruptcy? Hey, I may have a program for you that could get you out of debt in the next 4 years or less. All that unsecured debt, all those credit cards, all those payday loans, those medical bills, those student loans, those unsecured loans, I can help you with that. I sit there and my phone don't ring all day. I'm allowed to market. Who this is a process where we have to have like 5 or 6 conversations over the course of like 6 months. Who do you want to work with? Don't wait until it's too late. Don't hesitate. I'm here to help you. But I know pride's not gonna kill you, right? Or pride will kill you. But I'll help. I'll help you. I'll guide you and show you the path forward. As I try to do every day on this show, right? Where I get on here and I tell you what's the most pressing story. Oh, the most pressing story in my eyes is the new FBI director saying that they're going to be violent against Americans that they disagree with politically. And there's a reason that we don't get a lot of hate here. And that's because they're so trapped in that right versus left that they don't even see us. They don't see us coming at all. They don't see a grassroots party free of foreign investment, free of large corporate donors, completely grassroots. I'm taking my sweet fucking time. Why? Because in a week from today, okay, a week from today is a is an economic blackout. My goal in the next week is to have everything prepared so that come the 1st of March, I'm going to be coming on here and say, go onto all these sites and follow the American Socialist Party. Share them, let them know that you know the founder, right? That you sit in his daily podcast where we discuss the news. And there's no angle to this. There's no right versus left here. I don't think there is. If you think I'm biased, okay? Okay. If you think I'm biased when I say it's troubling that the new FBI director says they're going to target political opponents and journalists, that's a clear threat against people's freedom of speech. I don't think that's a right versus left thing. It didn't used to be. Okay. And ultimately, hey, if you're going to go to a protest and you're like, Jared, I don't even know what sign to make. Elon Musk is a terrible president. It is super effective. And then also, if you're going to go to a protest, okay, hi from Italy. Make sure that you follow me. Make sure you like this stuff, share this stuff. Okay. But they want to keep splitting you up, black versus white, red versus blue. The reality is, it's about 155 billionaires versus us, the rest of the world. And all the people that bend the knee, kiss the ring, and lick boots, right? So know that there's way more of us than there are of them. People are asking for inspiration when they go to protest. Elon Musk is a terrible president. Um, is a great protest sign. Okay, and remember that this is and has never been a call for violence. Okay, and that every peaceful massed protest has a way bigger chance of having a positive impact than a violent protest. Okay? So we don't do January 6th on this side. You get what I'm saying? Like we don't do that here. And again, that's not to say like there are aspects of republicanism that I agree with and there are aspects of Democrats that I believe that's a load of shit. Their positions are based on who's in charge and have evolved and changed over time. And it's asinine to have conversations with people today that haven't changed their fucking political thoughts in fucking decades. And they're still talking about shit that happened in the 90s. Is that people that refuse to be educated, that refuse to take the time to do the research to figure out what is really going on, what do I really need to be worried about? Like the people aren't doing that, and it's mostly white males that aren't doing that. Okay? Confused a little bit. Do you follow Empress? Uh, no, I don't associate with RC or Empress. Mm-mm. Yeah, every violent turn in history fails. Why? It's a numbers game. Your movement's gonna lose steam when your leadership starts getting arrested for being violent. So how is your movement going to have consistent leadership and they're going to be able to show up, they're going to be able to be there and give you good guidance? How are they going to do that if they're violent or if they're promoting violence in your protest? It'll never work. I did research on socialist movements. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not the kind of person. I'm an actual leader. I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not able or willing to do myself, right? I'm going to do it too. There's a reason that I've said I do not advocate for violence. That a call for violence, especially when you're not going to do it, you're not out there leading them. You're not going to get out there and be on the front line and do this shit. Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna get people arrested. She's taken out, and that should be seen as inciting violence, by the way. Yeah, there's a reason they stopped covering Luigi Mangione is because they realized he was gaining support. Like the last poll I saw before they basically deleted Luigi from the ether was that like 73% of people like agreed with Luigi Mangione, and he got basically removed from the internet. Yeah, yeah. That's one thing. Right, that's one thing. There and the other thing about that is there was a comedian on TikTok that was saying like, me and my veteran buddies will make sure Donald Trump never even becomes president. Where the fuck were they? Where the fuck are they now? Right? Sitting around doing absolutely dick. Just like them motherfuckers acted all tough and shit when I was on active duty too, are the same motherfuckers now trying to tell other people to be violent while you just sit at home in a plate carrier and tell people, "Oh, go rescue America." And guess what? They ain't got a fucking original thought in your fucking head, you dum dums. Fucking violence does not work out against the state. I'm telling you, Violence against the state does not work. There are already movements trying to strengthen election security. That's already happening. So, like I said, anybody telling you to be violent that isn't out there with a vest on, with a carrying an American flag, with a gat, right? They're not doing that shit. They're shitty leaders. They're telling you to commit violence on their behalf. Okay? Yeah. That's weak leadership. Violent movements have high costs to the movement, and yeah, because if those people that are the same ones, yeah, house always wins, right? So I'm certainly glad she's pushing a completely different angle than I am. Okay. Yeah. If you're gonna lead, you need to be willing and able, right? And not only not only am I willing, like I'm willing to fall on the sword and start the American Socialist Party and know that it is wholly improper for me to use that to run for public office without taking the necessary steps required to put yourself in a position to run for office. Am I making sense? Right? Unless I've done the necessary things to run for public office, it would be wholly improper to start a political party in order to run for office. As opposed to just everybody grab a rifle, now it's time to go bump a bump a bump, and it's just like that's not gonna fucking happen. They have drones. You fucking clown ass bitches. They have the missile defense system. What are you talking about? The US military is apolitical. They're not gonna do Donald Trump's bidding. Good to go. And the same goes for everyone else. People calling for violence aren't going to do shit. So people that are stoking the flames of violence are weak. Have a good day. Couple thousand viewers today. Guys, have a good